Hi, my name is Joseph Weeks. Welcome to my Instagram and YouTube channel. What I'm looking to talk to you today about is how to use Gemini 2.0 and a tool or software I just came across recently called Viralfindr to look for useful hashtags that will enable me grow my channel organically. Now, what I've done is I've taken a hobby of mine, which is essentially photography, and I've created a new YouTube, rather a new Instagram channel. I don't have a lot of posts, as you can see. I have just 17 posts. I have 7 followers, and I'm following 4. So this is just the very beginning of this journey. And what I want to do is I want to actually create hashtags and comments and likes, if possible, to enable the channel grow in an organic fashion. Now, this is not a video about growing or blowing up the channel in any way, but this is more a video about how I need to look for ways by which I can become more engaging, not just in the images I take, but in the fact that I look for hashtags which are useful and which might help people who are looking for this content, or people who see this content and have found other similar kinds of content will be interested in, and by extension maybe comment or like, and will help the channel actually begin to grow. So what next? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and ask Gemini. I have no idea of what categories or what hashtags to utilize with many of these images I have on here, and I could guess, but I don't think that will be very useful at this point. So let's go to Gemini and have a look. Now, I have to say to you, what I'm actually working on, what I'm actually putting together, what what section I will use in Gemini. I will not say many words, because what happens is that I'm going to use a feature where I'll be talking to Gemini and it'll be responding, and once I'm setting things up, it'll begin to actually talk and respond to what I'm saying to you guys out here. So I'll go in and I will preempt what I'm going to say, and then I'm just going to do the steps, but you'll have an idea of what I'm doing, because I've actually told you what I'm going to do. So here we are in Gemini, and and you can see that I'm on the site Google AI Studio. I'm going to leave a link down below, and I am in the second, on the menu, I am at the second tab, or the second option, which is stream real time, and I'm going to be talking to Gemini. I'm also using, make sure you use Gemini 2.0 flash experimental. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and click on talk to Gemini. It'll take me to another page, and on that page I'll be prompted to click on an icon for recording, and when I do that, I'll be prompted to select one of the options for the screen I'm interested in using to speak with Gemini with, and that is going to be my Instagram page. And what I'll do then is I'll go over asking Gemini whether it can give me categories and hashtags based on information it can get about other similar pages which might have good engagement. Notice I'm trying to focus on engagement, which are comments and likes, and the reason for this is that I believe that this is probably the most important metric that you can actually use in terms of when you want to try to grow a channel. So I could be wrong, I'm not an Instagram person. If you have any better information, please leave a comment down below, and I'm working this out as I go along. As I say, I'm flying the plane as I am, or I'm building the plane as I'm flying it. Right, here we go. Talk to Gemini. So you saw what I did. I went and I selected the tab I wanted on Chrome, and I selected Instagram. It's going to respond to this now. So
Okay, so you selected a tab on Chrome and then chose Instagram. Is that correct?
Yes. And I am now on the page of my Instagram channel, and I would like you to actually look at the posts and come up with categories for the posts and good hashtags I can use for greater visibility and engagement of my channel.
Sure, so you would like me to look at the images on your Instagram page and suggest categories and hashtags to improve visibility and engagement. I can do that. Let's start with the first post, which shows a cobblestone street. What kind of post is that?
You tell me. I'm asking you. If you could.
Okay, I see. Let's look at the first image. It seems to be a street. It looks like a European city street. What do you think?
It is.
Okay, it is a street. So some categories for that post could be travel, urban, or cityscape. Some hashtags could include hashtag travel photography, hashtag urban life, or hashtag city streets. What do you think about those?
Okay. Now, is there any way by which you can compare this image to other images on the web and maybe other images on Instagram which have good engagement, and so I can get an idea of what hashtags to use?
I understand. You want to compare your images to others on the web or Instagram to see which hashtags are most popular. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to access external websites or perform comparisons like that. My current abilities only include analysis of the image that you provide. So for now, would you like me to make suggestions based solely on your images?
Yes.
Or let's move on to the second image. It looks like a classic car in front of a historical looking building. What do you think are some categories and hashtags for that one?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. You tell me.
Okay, for that second image, I suggest categories like vintage, architecture, or cars. As for hashtags, you might try hashtag vintage cars, hashtag historic buildings, or hashtag classic car. What do you think about for the second picture?
That's okay. And what kind of car is that?
Based on the image, it appears to be a vintage car, possibly a pre-war model like a Jaguar or Rolls-Royce. It's difficult to tell exactly without a better view of the details. Would you like to know what kinds of categories or hashtags I would suggest for the third picture?
One more thing. Based on the type of car, can you give me a hashtag for that image as well?
Okay, based on the type of car, which seems to be a vintage or classic car, I'd suggest a specific hashtag like hashtag vintage car photography or hashtag classic car spotting for that image. Would you like to move on to the third picture now?
Okay.
All right, the third image appears to be a graffiti wall. What categories and hashtags do you think would be relevant for that one?
Could you stop asking me and just give me the information I require?
Understood. For the third image, which is a graffiti wall, suitable categories would be street art, graffiti, or urban art. And some relevant hashtags would be hashtag street art photography, hashtag graffiti art, or hashtag urban walls. How does that sound?
Okay.
For the fourth picture, which shows a lake with a swan, I suggest the categories nature, wildlife, or water. Some hashtags would be hashtag nature photography, hashtag swan, or hashtag lake life. Do those work for you?
Anything to do with anything else, like information about the fact
Okay,
that
you want information related to the image.
it's in the city, or it's will that can you give me anything, any hashtags or categories like that?
All right, Given the first image is a cobblestone street, which would fit in a city category, you could use hashtags like hashtag city life, hashtag city streets, or hashtag urban photography. Does that work for you?
Yes. So when you look at all the images I have on display right now, could you give me three of the most common categories that you can give me, if possible, for all the images you can see? Right. So I'm not sure if Gemini is still working, but anyway, you get the gist of it. And so to that effect, I have now a number of categories. Cityscape. I'm just going to go to Gemini and see if I can pick one of these categories or one of these hashtags, and then do a bit more exploration to see if I can get some hashtags which are actually within the niche but are possibly one that have a higher engagement. For this, I'm going to use a tool, like I said before, called Viralfindr. So let's just go to Gemini and pick up one of these categories and then utilize them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one hashtag and see if I can find any information on this or a category. Now I'm going to use the one for vintage cars, for example, and let's just take this hashtag vintage cars and see. I know this is fairly niche, but it's just something I think that we can actually start with. So let's go here, and this is Viralfindr. The interesting thing about Viralfindr is I'm on the free. It's got categories. So you got the free, you got the, I'm not sure, let me just go to the billing so you can see the billing shows. You got the, one second as it loads up. So you got the free, which I'm on, and then you got the team edition and the enterprise edition. And with the team edition, you have 25 searches, and you can monitor 5 Instagram accounts, and this other aspects of the software. Most used hashtags, most mentioned users, and these are things that hopefully I can look at when I actually put vintage cars. So let me go back to the actual menu, and you can see that you got the dashboard, and on here and my name, and because it's free I've got 3 searches, no searches I've used yet. You can see the feed based on what category you search for. Let's just go into this and we'll see. I think it's going to be empty. And what I've done also, I've loaded up my channel, so you can see the analytics for the channel, and when it loads up you see what I have on here. So view results, I've actually connected this. You can see because my engagement is very low, 2.38%, 7 followers, 17 uploads, and engagement of 2.38%, which should tell you that you probably need to get that up if possible. Average likes and average comments 0.17 and 0.00, and then you can see statistics summary. Obviously I have very little no data on there, so it can use that. Average engagement rate chart as well, and future projections. And I think these future projections are based on what you get in the average engagement section. So this is what it all looks like. And then you come down here, engagement rates on Instagram, so less than 1,000, 8%, and I'm at 2.38%, which so is lower than less than the average. So I need to get that up, and it's projecting that at 5,000 you have 5.7% engagement, and this is what you see in this particular set of information of these numbers. And then you can do a user search if you want to, but I don't really have any specific user I know anything about, and so I should be doing the hashtag. And the hashtag I shall be doing right now for one of my searches is, let's see how this works, vintage cars. And so let's search this. Takes a while, and I think it's almost completed. So it's gone on and it's done it for me. So that's one of 3 searches I'm going to be utilizing. So it says view results. Let me click on this and see what comes up. So you can see most used hashtags for vintage cars, and you can see the niche itself is not particularly engaging. It has 12, average of 0.7, and a total of 61. The most is 920, and average 1.5 and 2.9k. It has nothing to do in the area of most, average, and total for engagement non applicable. So you can see what it deems to be vintage cars. It deals with it's a very niche area, and I think that the reality of the situation is that where I'm already taking images of other kinds of subjects, I think I will more than likely, if I really want to actually grow this channel, I will more than likely want to look for something that might be slightly more engaging. So you see most used hashtags are vintage cars, classic cars, cars, vintage, car show. This is just to show you how you can use this tool. And then I could go down and have a look even deeper. I can actually become a bit more granular, and I could sort by comments, and let's see what it says about the comments. So you can see the actual cars which have some comments. It will not show me very many images because I'm on the free plan, but if we go down, you can see in total the number of likes and the number of comments that each of these images have. So I believe this is just 4, and this has 267 likes, 355 likes. This has 920 likes and 6 comments. So the engagement rates are not as high as obviously categories which will be more popular. So you have to be very careful about which ones you want to actually look at. Now if we look at feed, let's see what it comes up with in terms of feed. And well, it's come up with nothing in terms, or it's coming up with something in terms of feed, and it's looking like popular on Instagram right now. I'm not sure what this is. Not too sure what this is. Why it's showing somebody walking in terms of the feed it has. I thought the feed would be more in line with the subject we're looking at, or what could be particularly important right now, but maybe that's not the case. But in a nutshell, this is how this is just one of the ways in which you can actually use this particular tool, and it'll give you an instance of an insight into whether or not the niche you're actually going into is particularly engaging, what hashtags you should use, and the likelihood of you actually beginning to actually grow the channel substantially. So I will definitely go and look at, I've only got 3 searches, probably 2 left. Let me just go back to the dashboard so you can see how it's categorized what I just looked for, and to see, yeah, it said I've got 2 searches remaining. I've searched 1 this month and 1 result this month, so it doesn't give you very much, unfortunately, except you actually are ready to pay. So this is a tool, and this could help with your Instagram page. I think it'll help you not to work blind. And you see how I've combined both using my Instagram channel with Gemini 2.0 and this tool called Viralfindr. There are probably other tools out there that you might think about using, or you might think might be better ways by which you can actually begin to grow your Instagram channel. But for this particular video, I've just used this one. I hope this has been an educative actual setup for you, and this is how you can use the power of AI, and you can also use traditional methods as well to combine to get a powerful method by which you can actually begin to grow your channel on YouTube, on Instagram, organically. These are for people who, if tomorrow the TikTok platform gets banned by the US and you guys think that it'll be a chance to migrate to Instagram and begin to grow from the beginning, these are some methods that you could use. I hope you like this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It takes a while to create them, and maybe the YouTube algorithm will suggest this video to other people. A like would be very good, and a comment would even be better, talking to me about other software you might know, whether you think this method is the best way, or whether other methods you think might be useful, or whether you can use some of this with your workflow as it stands right now. I would really love to hear from you. And subscription, it shows that a number of people who, at least 70% of or 80% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So it'd be nice, because this is a method by which people actually validate whether or not your channel is giving out good content by people subscribing or taking time to subscribe. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.